Hello. Mm. Mm-mm. Mm. Hello?
Okay, can you hear me, Imani?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
I can.
Good. All right, so I'll turn this other computer off. I have a second one set up just in case this one didn't work, so I just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forget.
You're just fine.
It's always so dark. Trying to see if I can. I guess I can't really get any more color than what I have.
That's better.
It's a little better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we'll just wait another 8 more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and take my, I'll log back in like maybe a couple of minutes before 11. So.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Hello. We'll start up soon.
Hey. Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't see her.
Oh, well, we got on earlier, like a few minutes ago, and then she said she'd pop back on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Hi, Charles. Charles, does your camera work? If your camera will work, I would love to see your face. And you can wave.
Hi there. I'd love to show my face, but I'm not appropriately dressed. I heard. I do apologize, but I will set the link, and I'm sort of here to listen and learn and maybe speak. But I would not be too confident, and I wouldn't want to put you through my camera going. And I do apologize.
But you know what? You got 5 minutes. You can run and put a shirt on. We'll wait for you.
Oh my God.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
perfectly well. Thank you.
All right, so you're good.
Yeah. And while my daughter is on the line, she's also my executive assistant.
Okay, Imani. Okay.
Yeah.
She's been great so far.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I've got to ask you before people start popping in about all this meal prep, lady. You're making us look bad.
Well, that actually, I've been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that I'm prepared as much as possible because my schedule gets really crazy.
Mhm.
So if I don't prepare, then that means I have to stop by a fast food restaurant or somewhere to get something to eat. And, that's not always the healthiest thing. So if I could just grab and go, like I try to make everything in my life as simple and as easy as I possibly can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're going to talk about all of that when we talk about how you leverage your life. Because I am like green with envy when my kids were little, and I have 4 kids, right?
Oh, okay.
Then I was a stay-at-home mom for like 10 years, right? I said, I've got to be organized. So I was organized then. But now
Okay.
that we're kind of like empty nesters, and I say kind of because people keep coming back during the breaks,
Yeah.
I'm not as organized because I don't have to, because they can go fish.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? Yeah. But no, I look at your stuff every Sunday and I see all this meal prep for the entire weekend. I'm like, I should do that. Yeah.
Well, I was lazy this week. I went and bought meal prep from a storefront.
Yeah.
But I don't like what it tastes like. So I'm like, okay, I'm back to cooking this weekend.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do it this week, but next week I'm back going to the grocery shopping and all of the other stuff. So
yeah. And so do you cook it all on the weekend, or you just prep everything?
no, I prep and cook on the same day. So
Okay.
it takes a while to do it. But yeah, I get it done.
Yeah, cool. And everybody, guys, as you're coming on, please show your face. Hi, Grace. I agree. And we're gonna mute everybody in a little bit.
Okay.
So you guys show your faces. We don't want to be talking to your names. Hi, Courtney. Thank you. Angela Presley, come on, girl, you know better.
Angela definitely knows better.
You don't want to see me right now.
No, your hair looks cute.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Beautiful Jennifer Ray. Are you kidding me? Shelly, what are you doing?
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, and Lamar, show your face so people can get to know who you are. Lamar is brand
Hello.
there.
I was show my I was just stuffing my face, so I apologize.
Put a shirt on, Lamar, show your face. There you go. Hey, Liz.
Thank you.
Hey, Grace, come back on, show your pretty face. Yeah.
I'm showing
On her face for a second.
2 minutes.
There you are, Lamar. There you are.
Minute face.
Yeah. Make sure this is warm and welcoming for Joy. Joy is all the way in New Orleans. So she wants
Baton
to
Rouge.
face. Christopher, don't let me call you out. Show your face. All right, so we are at the top of the hour, right? And while we're waiting for other people to jump on, you guys know me. I'm going to plug my computer in so it doesn't die on us. I like to honor people's time, so we're going to get started. So hang on one second. All right. Okay. Thank you all for being on time. Thank you, Joy, so very much for your time today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. But make sure everybody's muted. Thank you, Imani. And if you guys have questions, just put them in the chat. Or at the end, we'll unmute everybody and give you a chance to just ask your questions of Joy. Okay, so Joy, we sent this flyer out so everybody should know who she is, right? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who Joy is. She's the #1 individual realtor for a market center for the past 5 years. She has been recognized for the highest gross closed income, highest sales volumes, and most units closed. She's been named Sales Associate of the Year. And this one really, really interests me, Joy.
Okay.
Top profit share earner. Because I see passive income right there. And I'm thinking in about 5 years, I'm like, peace out, right? So that really interests me.
That's actually my goal, 5 years. So
yeah, 5 years, I'm like, phew. And I'm saying 5 years because personally, Deke will be out of grad school and Athena will be finished. So whatever, if I don't get whatever I need to get in 5 years financially, whatever. Shame on me. All right, so #1 top producing agent, President's Club, Growth Partner, Diamond Circle, top 5 in the Gulf Coast regional, and of course, best dressed. So licensed for 17 years. She's the top 1% of all realtors in Greater Baton Rouge. She's got a bachelor's degree. She's just all the certifications that you guys could think of, and on and on and on and on. She's got them. So you guys can read this at your own leisure. I just want to jump in because we only have an hour of her time. And so I want to get in as many questions as I can.
Okay.
My goal for you guys today, I know you jump on a call like this and you hear 100 houses and most people are like, okay, here's the goal for today, you guys. If you can find one idea from her, whether it's organization or leverage or how she touches her clients, one idea that you can implement today, would that be a win for you? Okay, not good, not good. So listen, take notes, and let's go. So Joy, tell us before real estate, who was Joy, what did you do? And then of course, go right into why real estate.
Okay, so before I got into real estate, I got my bachelor's degree. I got my master's degree. I have an MBA as well. I went straight into the workforce right after undergrad, but 1 month after I graduated, I actually purchased my first house. So at 21, I bought my first house. And then 2 years later, as I was actually working at, someone needs to mute their phone.
Mute your phone, Imani, please.
So 2 years later, I actually purchased my second house. I was doing marketing for 2 home health companies. And I was basically doing all of the work that the agent should have been doing. And the main company that I was working for.
Yeah, because sometimes like
Hold on. I'm texting her.
I know that there's also like a Facebook.
Hang on.
So I can like send you.
She's the hold on, let me see, because I am not the host.
Okay.
Hang on, guys.
Mhm.
Okay, she just muted. So basically, the main company that I was working for, they were relocating to another city, which was about an hour from where I lived. So I noticed how much commission the agent made on the transactions. I was like, oh, I can do this. So it was really driven. The reason why I decided to get into real estate was really driven because I saw the commission amount that the agent made. And I said, oh, well, if she made that off of selling one house, I can definitely do this. So that's kind of how I got into real estate. But before real estate, I basically did management, human resources, and marketing, which kind of led me into getting my MBA and then getting into real estate.
Okay, great. All right. So what does your daily schedule look like?
So I am not an early bird. I basically wake up around 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 8:30, just depending on what time I went to bed. But I try to be at my computer at least by 9 or 9:30. So once I get to my computer, I'm basically checking the text messages that I received the night before and earlier that morning because people start texting at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm returning phone calls, checking emails, things of that nature. So my morning is basically lead generation, lead follow-up. Around 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, that's when I actually go on appointments. So from 1 o'clock to 5, 6 o'clock right now, just because it's daylight savings time, I have a lot more daylight. I will work up until about 6 o'clock. Typically, my hours are like 9 to 5/5:30, but right now it's like 9 to 6:30.
Okay. Do you have a day off?
Yes, I take the weekends off.
Okay.
Yes.
Always.
So, yeah, not always. It just really depends because right now during COVID, it's just a little different. I'm typically gone every 2 weeks to a different country. So for the last 5 years, I've been traveling 6 months out of at least 6 months out of the year. So I'm in town a week, I'm out of town a week. And it basically alternates that way. Sometimes I'm out of town 2 weeks and then I'm in town 2 weeks. So, but 2 weeks out of the month, I typically travel. Since COVID, my vacations have been postponed. So I am actually in town and now I'm ready to get out of town. So I'm looking to schedule a trip pretty soon. So I've traveled this year to 3 countries and 3 states. But since then, I haven't done anything else. I typically travel so much more during this time. So right now, I may take a client on a Saturday out before 12 o'clock, but after 12, like I'm free until Monday morning at 9 o'clock.
Okay. And once again, guys, if you would please mute yourself. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. All right. So let's go back to the scheduling, right? So you said typically you're traveling every 2 weeks, right? So before COVID, when you sit down to do your yearly plan, do you plan all of your breaks?
I am not a planner, to be honest
Okay.
with you. So I do not plan for the year. I basically will plan for a month.
Okay.
Because the way my schedule is, sometimes it's really difficult to say I'm going to go on this vacation during this time or that time. I like to plan like 30 days out. That way I can make the necessary preparations for myself, my assistant. I can gauge what I have going on for that particular month. That makes it easier for me. I'm pretty much a spontaneous person. So and that's where I messed up this year with those 2 vacations because I had one vacation in March and I had 2 vacations in March and 1 in April. And when COVID hit, they had to cancel those because the flights were not, those particular countries were not allowing anyone out into that country. So we had to cancel those. And now I have to try to get the refunds because we can't reschedule at this moment.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you brought up the fact that you do have an assistant. So how do you leverage your time?
Okay, so basically my job is to lead generate, to lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and that's it. Everything else is for my assistant. So right now, my new assistant, she's within her 90 days. So after this month, her 90 days will be up. But what I do is I make sure that I stay on top of her. She's a high D as well. So high Ds work really great for me because I'm a high D. She's not sensitive, so I can say something to her and she doesn't, take offense to it, or she'll say, thank you for that. I did mess up, and, I take accountability. So it's all about accountability with me, accountability for your actions, the things that you do, the things that you do not do. So basically, we have a call every morning. We just start doing this maybe a week ago. So I call her around 9 o'clock. So she's the first call that I make in the morning. And then I call her again around 5:30 in the afternoon. So we have a game plan for the day. Then at the end of the day, it's what went well, what didn't work well, what still needs to be done, how we can make things better, what she still needs to finish or complete for the day. So her day doesn't always end at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. She may work until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get her to be efficient with her time. Everything that she has can be done within a certain amount of time. But right now she's still learning and still trying to gauge how I like things to be done. So it takes her a little bit longer to process. Okay, this is a buyer, so this has to be done, or this is a seller, so it has to be done this way, or, just the different processes that go along with real estate. She's been licensed for 3 years, but she never really worked in the business. So it's kind of like she's a brand new agent and she's learning real estate in a short period of time. So with her, it's just really, I'm still training her and trying to get her to where she needs to be. She's enrolled in the Perfect Real Estate Assistant course, which is today, as well as every Wednesday right now. So for the next 6 months, she's enrolled in that course, and I'm trying to get her to become the perfect real estate assistant, because I see that she has the potential to be. It's just right now developing her into that person.
Okay.
And into that role.
Yeah. And when did you get your first assistant?
I didn't get my first assistant until 10 years into the business. Okay. So the first 10 years, I was always in the top 10 within my office. Basically, I sold about 50 to 60 homes every year by myself. And once I hired my assistant, basically she stumbled across me and one other agent. She was a team leader that was fired from that team leader role, that came over to the office, and she was about to become an agent. And because she was a team leader, we wanted to kind of talk to her, pick her brains on how to become more organized, because I am not the most organized person. I'm organized in certain areas of my life, but not all areas of my life. So we wanted to kind of talk to her about systems and organization and things like that. And she's ex-military, and so we knew that she had that structure. Her DISC profile is a DC. So we met with her and we were asking her questions, and come to find out she didn't want to become an agent. She actually likes it's like systems and, organization and things like that. So we both kind of looked at each other. It was like just this light bulb went off in our head, like she would be a great assistant. So we talked to her about being our assistant, and we were going to split her. So she was like, yeah, I think I would be interested in that. So we ended up hiring her, and we had a contract with her on like what her duties were. And the other agent, their husband and wife team, basically the things that she had her doing, he was like, well, you can kind of do this. So they ended up getting rid of her, and then I ended up adding more to her plate. So she became my full-time assistant, and she was with me for 5 years. When I started telling her that I was thinking about transitioning out of the real estate sales part within 5 years, then she kind of got scared. So she went back to school to get another degree so that she could start a career, because the goal was to develop her to be like the director of operations, start a team at that point, and have her to manage and grow the team. But I think she felt that I was going to be completely out of real estate. So she wanted to secure her income, and I understand that. So she felt that her going to school was not going to interfere with her workflow, but it actually did. And over like a 10-month period, I kind of dealt with it, but it was like the sales started going down, her production went down, and then just all of a sudden it just didn't work. And I'm the type of person where, if you press that, like
Brenda.
I can basically, you know, I think Patty needs to mute her phone.
Patty, please mute yourself. Or Imani, can you mute her, please?
Okay,
Thank you.
so basically I can, like, I'm patient to a certain point, and then it was like that button was pressed and I was like, you know what, this is not working out. And then I had to get rid of her. So I hired my second assistant about a year and a half ago, and I did not take the proper measures on hiring her. She was my assistant's assistant, which I felt she was not a good assistant to my assistant, but I hired her as my assistant just because I needed someone at the time. I was leaving, going to Bali or somewhere, I don't know, and I needed someone right then and right there. She worked out great in the beginning, but over that year and a half time frame, it was just like the production just completely went down. You know, I was always saying, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? It was like, you know, I was overworking myself, but then my numbers were going down. So I just recently fired her. And now I'm on the third assistant, who is now she's in her 60 days, going into her 90 days right now.
Okay. So do you put them through career visioning?
Now I do. So
is
with
what I'm hearing.
Yes, with the third assistant, my office actually found her and recommended her to me. Yeah. And I did a 3-hour interview with her. She was basically falling asleep during the interview. And but yeah, we went through every single question that was on her KPA, and you know, checked the references and things like that. The first 30 days was very tough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had to ask the director of first impressions and my team leader. I was like, "Are y'all sure? Like, she didn't cheat on this KPA?" Which you know, they can't cheat on that, but. You know, it was just like the things that her KPA said and the things that we spoke about was not showing up in who she was every day. And I was like, this is definitely not a fix, like not a match for us. And she actually went and talked to her psychologist. I mean, this is crazy, y'all, but she went and talked to her psychologist. And the day that I was going to fire her, she came back into the office and like she was on it. And I was like, what did y'all talk about? And she was like, actually, it had nothing to do with work or whatever, but whatever it was that was hindering her mindset, she got it together. And then since then, she's been great. And I was like, okay, well, I'm glad everything's working out. So she sent me a message yesterday. She said, I have great news for you. And I'm like, what is that? She was like, I'm going to sit on the couch. We say sit on, she said, sit on the couch. I'm going to sit on the couch tomorrow. There was a spot that opened up. So I was like, okay, good. Because when she goes and talks to her psychologist, when she comes back, it's like she's enlightened and, you know, she's ready to work and she's back focused. So, so that actually works out great for me.
Good. So, all right. So you said you did 50 by yourself. You got the first 5 years or 10 years, about 50, 60. And then you got an assistant, right? So,
yes.
And your assistant help you get to 100, right?
Yes. So the first year I went from 60 to 88.
Okay, to 88. All right. And now, so now you have an assistant, you got because we talked a little bit before, you got a marketing person to leverage yourself. So how many admin people do you have?
I have 2, and I'm currently looking for a third.
Okay, so you're still a single agent. You got 2 admin people, and you said your job was to lead gen, lead follow up, negotiate contracts.
Go on appointments, yes.
And go on appointments. Yes. Are you hearing this, my new agents? I just wanted her to repeat that again. There is no magic. It's just what it is. So how did you get so good at being so proficient? And then how do you streamline your processes?
Okay. So when I first started in real estate, you know, I was brand new. I purchased 2 houses, but that was really me purchasing, like me. I didn't do anything else besides like look them up, and you know, during that time, that was like going through the newspapers, and it wasn't really like a lot of different websites and things like that. But I was kind of like searching for a house and driving by the houses, and I was like doing all of the prep work for the agent. So I was kind of familiar with the buyer side. So I decided to focus on the buyer side when I first got into real estate. So I was always the first person in the office every day. I would get to the office around 8 o'clock, drop my daughter off at school, get to the office. And then by 9 o'clock, when everyone else was coming in, I was leaving out. So I would go in, do all of my marketing, print out everything that I needed for the day. And by 9 o'clock, I was already out. And what I did was I basically door knocked. My goal every day was to meet at least 20 people. I was at Remax during the time, so it wasn't even a Keller Williams. Like, I knew nothing about Keller Williams during this time. I just knew that I needed to talk to people every day, and I needed to make contact with people and meet new people and just get out there, because I quickly noticed that the buyers and the sellers were not just coming to me. So I think that a lot of times we get into real estate and we feel that, we're going to have all of this business and everybody's going to want to work with us. And, and I was like, no, well, that's not going to happen. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do. So I knew that buyers would only take 30 days, 45 days to get closed out. And that was the quickest way for me to make money. So I found different rental areas and I door knocked those areas. So I would have a flyer and the application there with me. So my lender at the time would send me the application and I would go to the door and I would have them to fill out the application at the door. So by the time I went back to the office, I had these loan apps and I would fax them into the lender, and he would then, he would take over at that point and call them, and if they needed some credit repair or whatever, he would kind of tell them what they needed to do. So they might have been a few months out. Or if they were ready to go, you would call back, hey, Joy, they're approved for 180 or whatever the amount is. Okay, I think couple need to be muted.
Hold on 1 second, Joy.
Okay.
Guys, you're just coming on. Please mute yourself. Regina, we can hear you. Thank you. And somebody else just came on. Please mute.
I think they muted. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Everybody's muted. And hey, by the way, we're showing our faces. We would love for you guys to show your faces. It's just warmer, and she's not talking to a screen. She's talking to real people. So if a few more of you could show your faces, it's great. We are not going to critique your makeup. Trust me. Right. Thank you, David, or your hairstyle, David. Thanks. All right.
Okay, so basically that's how I got my first set of people. I was very, very shy. I'm still a little shy now, but I was very shy in the very beginning. So I had to break out of that. So what I did was I made sure that I wore my name tag every single day. And I had like this little game that I played myself. If I made eye contact with anybody, I had to stop, turn around and have a conversation with them, talk about real estate, ask for a referral, get their information, give them my information. And then also if I went to the gas station, I did not I had to go inside to pay for gas. I'd leave my cards there. I did not go through drive-thrus. I had to go inside the restaurant, talk to people, leave my cards there. So like my cards were everywhere. So like people knew who I was, just because they were like, you're everywhere. I saw your card in Subway, or I saw your card in McDonald's or at the gas station, or, whatever. So I had to do a lot of things. I had to make myself, very uncomfortable to really get to where I am today. But it worked. So my first year, I was Rookie of the Year. I sold $7 million in real estate. And within 6 months of being in the business, I switched over to Keller Williams at that maybe 6-month mark of being in real estate. And 3 months into Keller Williams, they asked me to be on the ALC. So I was on ALC for like over 10 years. I just recently stepped off like 2 or 3 years ago just because of my busy schedule. But when I came to Keller Williams, I was working 10 transactions. And my broker at Remax told me that if I left, that I would never sell real estate again. So within like a 30-day, 45-day period, all 10 of those transactions fell apart completely. And I was like, oh my God, he cursed me. So like, cause I'm brand new in business. So I was like, what is going on? So I was like looking at every single transaction to see if there was some kind of commonality of why it fell apart. And there wasn't. Like every single one was something completely different. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So that was like a defining moment in my business, because I had people that were saying, oh, well, she's not going to make it in this business. She's going to be out of here like in the next couple of months or so. And I was like, you know what? No, I can't do that. You know, I'm going to have to just push harder. So what I did was, instead of lead generating for 3 hours a day, I was lead generating for 6 hours a day, you know, and I just kept doing it until I got the sales up. And like I said, that first year was 7 million, despite losing 10 transactions. Every transaction I had, I lost it at one time. So I just had to, you know, just keep pushing.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask you another question, right?
All right.
I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. It's COVID,
Yes.
pandemic, and it has happened to all of us. I just want to know, today's August 5th, how many transactions have you closed thus far this year?
I've closed 53 transactions. I have 25 under contract. I have 18 buyers, and I have 8 listings right now.
All right. So, girl, you've got to tell us what you're doing. And I'm just going to sit back in my chair so you can just give us the whole breakdown.
Well, it's the pendings are probably the only thing that's different in my workflow right now. I have more pending transactions. Typically, it's about 30 pendings at this time, but I just closed like 7 last week, so that's the reason why it's down. And then I think we go through cycles in our business, because like over the last 3 days, I've had people saying, "Oh, I have somebody referred me to a family member, so I'm not going to be able to use you," or, you know, the client is disappearing, or, you know, you have those clients that are just like that. So I had like maybe 5 or 6 people that I was supposed to be working with this week that just all of a sudden just disappeared off the blue. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can't even focus on that. I'm just going to focus on what I can do. And so what I do is I just make sure that I'm lead generating. So like yesterday, I lead generated probably for about 6 hours. And a lot of people were not available during those hours that I was, you know, texting them or calling them. So my day yesterday kind of extended into about 6:30, 7 o'clock. So it was just a little bit longer. But what I do every day is just, I'm consistent. You know, I just make sure that I am, you know, touching my clients, touching my sphere. I'm on social media, making sure I'm touching people there as well. I think that it's just really all about the contacts. I have to talk to at least 20 people a day. It doesn't have to be a verbal conversation for me. It could be just a text conversation. So like yesterday, I was also following up with all of my pending clients. So every person, I sent them a text message just basically saying, you know, "Good morning, just wanted to check on you. Do you have any questions or concerns or anything I can answer for you this week?" And a lot of them were like, "No, there's nothing this week," or some had questions. So I just made sure that I was answering the questions and I'm being the resource that they need me to be in order to make sure that the sale goes by, you know, as smooth as possible.
Yeah, and Jennifer wanted to know, when you're lead generating for 6 hours, is that door knocking? What are you doing?
I am basically going through my phone. So I'll start with A, and I just start texting everybody from A. Like the A's might take all day, and then the next day I'll do the B's, then the C. So just basically having conversations with people. It's like now I don't door knock. Now during the recession, I did door knock because, you know, it just wasn't working with trying to get my sphere or my past clients to purchase properties. So I did go out to different subdivisions and door knock to try to get them to list their homes. But I haven't done that since 2008. So now it's basically sphere, you know, Facebook, my past clients. I try to reach out to them, and then also the clients that I'm currently working with, I reach out to them as well, and I ask them for referrals. So basically everyone with me, I'm going to ask for referral.
Okay, so I was going to get to that because yes. So, all right. So what does that sound like? Because tell us what that sounds like.
Basically what I just said, you know, it depends. Now, if I'm doing a phone call, my phone call might be a little bit different than a text conversation. So let's just say it's a past client. So I'm gonna, I'll text, and I'm a texter. Like my entire business basically is via text. If somebody calls me, like my phone always stays on silent. So I'm gonna probably more than likely miss the call, and I'm gonna have to call them back just to see who it is. But my autoresponder will also say, I'm currently busy, or I'm currently in an appointment right now. Please text me, or I'll call you, later or something like that. So most of my, everybody knows that if they want to get me quickly, they have to text me, because just the phone takes so long. And, I really don't have time to talk on the phone all day long. So when I'm texting, it's, good morning. We haven't spoken in a while. And they'll be like, oh, good morning, Joy. How are you? I'm like, I'm doing great. How have you been? And then they'll say how they've been. Then I'll ask about their family. Then I'll ask about, how they're doing during COVID right now. Is everybody healthy and okay? Like now that school is starting back up, are your kids ready for school? Are you going to homeschool them? Or are they going to physically go? I'll be sympathetic about that. Then we'll talk about, if they've had any vacations or if they've gone anywhere. Typically, right now there's really not a lot of vacations, but I'll still ask, if there's any recreational events that they've done, if they've gone on vacation. I'll ask them, if there's anything that I can help them with. And then typically they kind of go into like, how's everything going with me? And I'll tell them how great the market is right now, but I'm looking for 7 new people to purchase a house this week. Do they currently know anyone that's looking to buy or sell? They'll say either yes or no. If they say no, I'll say, oh, no problem. Well, if you can think of one person in the next week and text me with their information, I would truly appreciate it. So like the text conversation may go on for a while, but I'm also texting probably 20 to 30 people at one time.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm having, so that might take, I would say maybe 2 to 3 hours to get all of these conversations in. And then some conversations might flow into the evening because the person was working. So, but when I'm texting, to me, that's not like, I'm not really taking that much of my time. So I can be on my elliptical texting someone back, or, I can be on a treadmill or something. I can be doing other things while I'm having that text conversation. But it's just reaching back out to them and making sure that they know that I'm still here. I'm still a resource for them, and that I'm always looking for people that are looking to buy or sell. I want to help those people.
Okay. So you basically you are in their faces. And so Liz wants to know, does your carrier shut you down because you have too many texts?
No, they don't shut me down. But what happens sometimes is, I've noticed this lately, it will delete all of the text messages, and then I have to reset my phone. I've turned it off, turned it back on for all of the text messages to show back up. So it's done that like probably 3 times in the last month. So because I do text a lot, but no, they don't shut me down.
Okay. Yeah. And Grace, I hope her explanation answered your questions, whether her calls were just personal calls, or her care calls were personal and business. So they're
both. Yeah.
Their care calls, their personal and their business.
Yes.
Like we've always said, if people know you're in the business, they're gonna ask, how are you doing? How's the business? We've heard that it's terrible, and it's not. And that's when you get an opportunity to set them straight. So I noticed on Facebook that over Father's Day weekend, you had an event.
I did.
You did, and you raffled, you gave a very, very expensive giveaway. So how were you able to do a physical event during COVID?
So basically, every year I try to do 3 to 4 events, and I have a really big party at the end of the year, a client appreciation gala. So this year I decided not to do that. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to break it down into more smaller, more personalized events, because I don't want to put anyone in danger by having a gathering, even if it is 50 people in one place. I just think that that's socially irresponsible. So I told my vendors that I did not want to do that this year, but I want to try to put the funds towards other things. So we decided to so Mother's Day, I sent out personalized cards where we went onto Facebook, found pictures of the clients and their kids. And this was very time consuming, but we actually put that together, sent them the card, and they absolutely loved that. So it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do for Father's Day? So for Father's Day, it was myself, the title company, and the lender. And what we did was we did little barbecue grill packets. So it had like a mitt with the barbecue sauce, the different utensils to grill with, It had like some Cajun seasoning and like some other things, and it's wrapped in a bow with all 3 of our cards. So we had a tent set up for that. So we did, I think like 100 of those. And we bought a pellet grill, a Cuisinart pellet grill, and we raffled that. So we did like a drive-through event where they basically just kind of drove through the title company in a little circle. I gave them their Father's Day gift. They filled out a form that basically asked for a referral. It asked for their information, asked for information on their kids, their birthdays. So now I gathered that information. So for the different kids' birthdays, now I can send a kid a card or, you know, a gift card or something like that. And then that Sunday, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, I pulled a name and then I actually went to deliver the grill to that person's house. So they had no clue that I was coming or anything. So I was like, oh, I hope they're at home. So I just did a Facebook Live during that time and came to the door and knocked on the door and they got the grill. And, you know, it was just it was something simple, easy. It didn't really cost a lot of money. So for that event, we all paid like $300, $400 each. So it really wasn't that expensive. We found the grill on sale. But the thing about it is everyone wanted that grill. So they made sure that, you know, they came to the event and we took pictures and, you know, that way we still had the exposure, you know, that, you know, Joy's always doing something for her clients. And that's what I want them to always, you know, keep in mind, that regardless of what the situation is, like, I'm still going to be there. I'm still like on the front line for that. So when the pandemic first started, I actually ordered masks. So I have masks that have my name on them, and I provided those for my Facebook community and my past clients. So if they wanted masks, they basically just sent me their address, and I delivered masks, gloves, pens, business cards. Like, I put a lot of different things in the bag, and I actually did Popeyes with that. There were certain people that were out of town or whatever. I mailed those off to them, but I wanted to try to focus on just really being able to meet a lot of new people. So I've been able to grow my database based on that. So with my database also, it's not a big database because I'm always adding or deleting people from it. So I probably have maybe 700 people that I'm actually communicating with on a monthly basis in that database. But yeah, that's basically what I did with that particular event. Right now, with kids going back to school, I typically do a back to school event, but you know, kind of things are in the air. So what I want to do this year is mainly focus on the teachers and show the teachers that
Julianne, thank you for joining us in your car.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. So Julianne is the other PC coach in the office, and I think she's headed out of town. So
Okay.
can you mute yourself, darling?
I will do that. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
So for the teachers, what I'm gonna do is I have a client who does she has a wood business, so she makes all of like my welcome signs for my clients.
Honey, you're gonna have to mute Julianne.
Sorry, but can you mute me? I'm having trouble.
Can you mute her, Imani?
I'm trying.
Okay.
I am too. I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to be disruptive.
You can go ahead and mute on the right side where the participants.
Oh, there, got it.
Okay, so what I'm doing for teachers, they have like these little cute little wooden signs, and it'll have like their name on it with like an eraser or a pencil. It's like shaped like an eraser, pencil, whatever, and they can put it in their classroom, on their desk, on their doors, you know, things like that. So that just shows appreciation, and then I'm going to actually go to the schools to deliver them, which gives me an opportunity to talk to more teachers while I'm there. So so that's what I'm doing for that, for back to school. And then for Thanksgiving, we're gonna do meals for the clients. So we'll do the gift cards to like Piccadilly, or they mentioned another company that does it, where they can actually go pick up the meal cooked already. So a turkey, 2 sides, a pie, some bread, you know, so all of that's already done for them. Christmas, we haven't really decided yet what we're going to do, but we try to do something for every single, you know, major moment within a year, and we just split the cost 3 ways.
And okay, so you brought that up several times. You split the cost with who?
With my lender and with my title company.
Okay, all right.
And certain events I will get my home inspector on, but because he doesn't make as much money as a lot of the others, I don't get him involved in every single event. Typically, it's the most expensive ones. I will ask for $1,000 or, you know, just depending on what it is. But I don't ask the home inspector for everything. But I do my title company, my lender. Every event, they're putting money into it.
Okay. So here, Joy, we are virtual learning, right? So we can't go visit the teachers because they're not in school. So what would you suggest that we do for maybe our parents who are trying to be homeschoolers, or for the teachers?
Basically, I would reach out to them and just find out, you know, exactly what the situation is and what the need is.
Yeah.
Because everyone's need is completely different. Like I said, every year I typically do school supplies. This year I've decided not to do that just because I'm last minute, like we established that in the very beginning. So, and my title company and lender will tell you, like Joy will think of an event the week before and be like, hey, I need y'all to do this. And then they take the lead on it because they're doing all of the work. It's just like my idea and they execute it. But I do come up with stuff at the very last minute, and I don't want to put them through that this year, so I'm not going to do school supplies, but we are going to do the thing for the teachers. I would say maybe for teachers there, if they are not going to the classroom, I would just talk to the teachers, like a couple of teachers, and just see like what would their immediate need be, and just base whatever event you do based on what the actual need is.
Okay, thank you very much. And Shelly has a question in the chat. Let me see what it is. Shelly, how did you ask the card? What? How did you ask?
The fill-in card that she has, you know, that she's asking for information.
Okay.
What are the logistics of that? Are you asking them to fill it in and drop it back as a postcard and drop it back to you at the mail, or how do you go about it?
They actually filled it out at the event. So when they pulled up, I actually came to the car with the mask, and I had masks provided there as well. So if they needed some, I gave them extra masks. So they filled out the card. I gave them their gift at that time. I got the card back from them and then went to the next car. So, you know, it was a 2-hour event. So everyone was coming during different times. So it wasn't like it was backed up. You may have had 1 or 2 cars waiting for someone to fill out their card, but it was short and simple. So it wasn't like it took that long. It might have taken everyone 2 minutes to fill out the card. It wasn't that much. I asked for their name, phone number, mailing address, email address, their kids' ages and birthdays, and their birthdays and spouses' birthdays, and that's it. And also if they knew someone that was looking to buy or sell a house at that time.
So I assume you are sending them postcards, and who are you using for postcards?
We found that Express Copy is, no, I'm sorry, not Express Copy. Vistaprint is the least expensive.
Thank you.
I used to use Express Copy all the time.
Okay.
And this is Jennifer Ray. Did you, who did you send these to? Past clients, Sphere, or did you just put it on social?
Are you saying like the monthly postcard, or are you saying for the event?
For the event.
For the event.
The event was for all past clients and Sphere, and also for social media as well. But I specified that it was for my past clients and also people who send me referrals. So not just anyone, because I have like 5,000 people on my page. So I didn't want just random people. So everybody who showed up were people who actually knew me.
So was the invitation posted only on social media, I think is what Jennifer is asking, or did you send them some postcards in the mail saying you're—
No, I did not mail that. I actually texted it. So yeah, so I had the graphic and I texted it to everyone, all of my past clients and everyone that's on my sphere that's a father.
Yeah.
And it was posted on Facebook. Well, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter.
Okay, and I think you did the actual event on the Saturday before Father's Day, and then you dropped the gift off on Saturday.
No, it was actually on Thursday, and I dropped the gift off either Saturday or Sunday.
Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good, good, good. All righty. So, guys, what other questions do you have of her? Christopher, you have your hand up, or mute yourself, please. So while you guys are thinking of your questions, what's your goal for units closed this year?
The goal is 125, but the stretch goal is 150. So we're working hard to try to get to 150, but 125 is sufficient.
All right, so have you done 125 before?
I've done 127 before, yes.
127. Are you on goal to do 125 this year?
Right now I am on track. I think I'm on track to do 150 this year, possibly. based on everything that's in the pipeline, it's just getting that pipeline to pending, and I don't like to count things before. You know, I might have 18 buyers, but not all 18, like they may not buy, like they might disappear. So right now I am on track to 125.
So if I was to say, Joy, most of us on this call, except for maybe 2 people, have our teams, right? The rest of us, including myself, who is a PC coach and a single agent with an assistant, right? We are single agents. And what is the magic sauce to being able to do 100 transactions a year?
It's really no magic. It's really just being consistent, being focused, being determined, following a schedule. Like following a schedule is really key to anything that you do in life. I think that a lot of times we're just all over the place because, you know, real estate kind of puts us into that mode of, I have to do this right now, I have to do this right now, and, you know, I have to drop what I'm doing here to do this. I think that if you write things down, and that's one thing I have to talk to my assistant about all the time, is just make sure you write everything down. If you write it down and check it off every single day, you know, the likelihood of you forgetting is very slim. You know, when I'm handling this many transactions, sometimes I don't write things down and I will forget, and that's really my fault. You know, so I have to take accountability for my actions as well. But what I've started doing is like I have a notepad right here, right beside me, and it's like I have something on every line. And I just make sure that I check everything off. And if I don't get to it that day, I know that the next day I still have to do it. So I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do for the week. These are the things I must do for this week. And then these are the things that I have to add to this day. And I need to call these people today. But I think that if you time block your calendar, so like for me, I know that if someone wants to meet me at 10 o'clock tomorrow, that's not going to happen because my appointments don't start until 12 o'clock. So I have to call that person, hey, I'm not available. I have an appointment already scheduled for 10 o'clock tomorrow, but I do have tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock available. Which time works best for you? Oh, well, neither one of those times work. Okay, well, what's your schedule like this week? And so when they tell me, okay, well, I get off every day at 5 o'clock. Okay, well, perfect. I can meet you at the house tomorrow at 5:30, or I can meet you Friday at 5:30. So I do work with their schedule. That's what's most important to me. Is like, okay, what days do they have available? What times do they have available? And I fit myself and my schedule within their schedules. And I feel that that works a lot. But like mornings, that's not the highest and best use of my time, because if I go out and show property in the morning, then the likelihood of me lead generating and following up for the day is, it's really not going to happen, because so many other things start happening when you're out and about and you just really lose focus. So I already know that if I'm out at 9 o'clock and I don't get back in until 2 o'clock, now I have to play follow up on all of the emails that I have and all of the text messages and all of the phone calls and, you know, all of these other little problems that happen during the day. And the next thing I know, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So either I'm going to continue to work, or I need to now have a personal life. and I choose my personal life. So what happens? That lead generation never happens. So now we're having closings this month, but then next month we have nothing. And then we have closings again because we're working really hard, and then we have no closings again. So I don't like to have that inconsistent, like my business has to be very consistent. Like every month I already know I'm gonna make a minimum of X amount. Now certain months are gonna be a lot higher than others, but I know what that threshold is and I know how much I cannot go underneath. So I have to do the activities to make sure that I'm making the amount that I want to make every single month to end the year where I want it to end.
Right. So you track dollars and you track volume and units.
I track volume and units, not necessarily the dollars, because if I have those two things, it's going to equate to the GCI. But I mean, it is tracked. I know exactly how much I've made, and you know, so like last month we made 76,000. This month it's 90,000. The month after, for September, right now I have 22,000 in the pipeline, but I have to get that number up. So, you know, it's always making sure that I'm at like the amount of money that I should be bringing in every month is actually there. So I already know, okay, $22,000, that's below my threshold. So this month I have to work hard to get the threshold up. Like I have to get that number up.
Yeah. Guys.
I already know the answer to this, but Joy, can you talk about your schedule and how you juggle 18 buyers?
Yes.
How you fit them into your schedule and you get off at 5:30 or 6:30 with daylight savings and you still maintain a social, normal life?
Okay. Yes. So basically, we kind of talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but so from 9 to 11 is my lead generation time. 11 to 12, 12:30, that's my lead follow-up time. 12:30/1 o'clock to about 5:30, that's when I go on all of my appointments. So for each buyer, my buyers are my easiest clients. Like I love buyers because I only have to work with my buyer one time and we're under contract. So I don't do live, and I've never done live buyer appointments. Everything is always on the phone. So once they get pre-approved, then I call them, basically kind of do a needs analysis with them, and we talk about exactly what they're looking for in a house, where they're looking. I'm throwing out different scenarios. So if this house has this, would you still want it? You know, if it doesn't have this, but it has this. So that way it gives me an idea for when I'm doing the actual search, exactly what they're looking for, and I can find the perfect houses for them. So I send them a list. So I'm actually going to do all of the legwork on that. That's something that I do not get my assistant to do. So because she didn't have that conversation with them, she's not able to necessarily find those perfect houses and break it down. And I feel that I have this to a science at this point. So I go through, I find all the perfect houses. I make sure I check and see if they're in a flood zone. And that's another question I have. If it's in a flood zone, are you okay with that? Because that flood insurance could be an extra $100 per month. If they're not okay with going up on their note, then why am I sending them houses in flood zones? You know, so I make sure I check all of those different things before I send them the list. Once I send the list, then now I want them to break that list down to their top 3 to 5 houses. And from that top 3 to 5 houses, I now take a look at them. I make sure that in my mind, their top houses are the ones that I feel that are going to be the ones that they're going to love. So when we go out, you know, I let them, so we meet each other for the first time. When we show up at that first house, I introduce myself and I say, hey, are you excited to find your house today? And so then that gets them excited. That gets them in that mindset that, oh, well, I'm finding a house today. I'm buying a house today. Like that perfect house is within this search. So we go into the house. I lead them, but not lead them. I kind of let them go and do their thing, but I'm kind of directing them in and out of the rooms. So that way we're only at that house a maximum of 10 minutes. So by the time they're finished seeing the house, I already know if they like the house or not like the house, but I'm still going to ask them, hey, what are your thoughts about this house? Then they tell me what they say, and I say, okay, well, that's perfect. Let's go ahead and you can follow me to the next house. So then they now follow me to the second house. We do that again. And at the end, I now want to know if that house is their number 1 house or their number 2 house. So what we're doing is we're ranking the houses, every single house that we go to. The third house, now, which one now is your number one, which is your number two? So whatever the other house is, we take that off the list. So we're only dealing with 2 houses at every moment. By the time we get to the last house, I already know which house they're going to choose, but I still go through the same spiel. Okay, now, what do you think about this house? And now, is this your number 1 house or your number 2 house? And then if it's your number 1 house, which typically I try to save the best house for last, depending on the logistics of how the showings are going. So they're already looking to see, you know, where they're going to place their furniture, where the TV is going, things like that. So I'm like, okay, well, how much do you want to offer? So I'm not asking them if they want to make an offer on the house. I'm asking them how much they want to offer so we can go ahead and put the offer in. And so most of the time they're like, well, I don't really know. What do you think? And so then that's when I give them my suggestion. I go over, you know, closing costs, home warranties, things we're going to ask for in the purchase agreement. I give them a spiel of what the purchase agreement says, and like, it's short, it's sweet, it's simple. And I let them know that within the next hour or so, they'll be receiving the documents electronically, that they can, basically, we went over everything that's in the documents, but please read the documents. As soon as they sign it, I can send it off to the other agent and we'll have an answer within 24 hours. And I ask them, how does that sound? Do they have any questions? And then if they say no, typically they say no. And I say, well, if you think of any questions, feel free to call or text me and we'll go from there. And that's how I get them under contract the first day. So by the next day, then once I have either a counter offer or an accepted offer, then I'm reaching back out to them via text. Hey, they countered the offer at such and such. These are my thoughts. What do you think? And, you know, typically they're okay with it because they're so excited now to buy a house that depending on what the counter is, because we always make reasonable offers. But if we lower the price $5,000, I also let them know, well, you know what, the seller may counter back with us at full price, but if they pay our closing costs, then I think that this is still a really great offer. So that way, when they counter back at full price, it's not a surprise. And they're like, okay, that's fine. Just send it back over to me and I'll sign it. They sign it and then we're now under contract. I send them a text message saying, congratulations, you're officially buying a home. And I do like the little balloons going up, the little effect thing. And they're excited. So then at that point, then now my assistant calls them and takes over. So now she's calling them to schedule the home inspection and, you know, and move the transaction from there. And so now I'm on to the next client. So with 18 clients, not all of them are viewing houses during the same weeks typically. I can show, like today, I probably have 3 clients today. So during a week, I can show like 15 people. But typically, it just doesn't happen that way. I would say during a week, I'm typically working with 5 to 10 people at a time, as far as physically working with them. But that's very manageable when you've managed your schedule, because I'm only spending about 2 hours per client. So that's not really a whole lot of time.
So it sounds to me like, A, you're running the business like a business, right? And B, you're working with highly, highly, highly motivated buyers and sellers.
Yes, yes. So if there's someone that calls and they are not ready to buy, so let's say their lease is not up until December, then I'll let them know right then and there, hey, it's a little bit too early to start looking. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add you to my website. That way you can go on the website and search. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me. But we need to wait, you know, until, I don't know, maybe September, you know, to get your pre-approval, or we can start then. But like, I'm having those conversations with them so that way the expectations are, you know, my expectations are met, theirs are as well. I also asked them if there's a way that they can get out of the lease. You know, so one person calls me yesterday. I said, okay, well, what I want you to do is I want you to go talk to your property manager, you know, ask me these specific questions and give me a call back tomorrow, and then we can discuss it further. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's all about communication. I find that communication is really key. And as long as you're communicating with your clients, they will wait for you, or they will be loyal to you. Sometimes it's like, I have random people that, you know, I've never met or whatever, and then they their family member says, oh, well, Aunt Sally is a realtor, so you should use Aunt Sally. I completely understand that. If that's who you choose to use, I have no emotional attachment to that person or whatever. So I just move on. And even if I did have an attachment to the person and he decided to use someone else, I'm fine with that because I have to keep my pipeline full at all times. Because when you're depending on, let's say this particular person to buy a house, and let's say that deal, I guess I've lost so many deals early on in the business that I've learned not to attach myself to a transaction, not to have emotional, interaction with, like, I guess, attachment to it. So basically I keep the pipeline full. So if somebody falls off, there's someone else to replace it. And then I'm finding someone else to replace that replacement. So that way I'm always working with people and my numbers will still be fine.
Yeah, good. I think Shelly had another question. Your percentage of buyers and sellers.
It's around 50-50 typically.
Okay.
I want to say that last year I was probably 60-40. So 60% buyers, 40% sellers. But typically it's about 50-50.
Okay. And that's a really good mix to have. And David is a very new agent, so he wanted you to run your schedule down again one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay. 9 to 11 is lead generation. 11 to 12, 12:30 is lead follow-up. 1 to 5/5:30, typically, or 6 is I go on appointments. And appointments also include closings or anything that takes me out of the house is an appointment.
Okay, and Sandra says, how do you keep track of your clients and what systems do you have in place?
I use CTE, which is Calvin Mergent's Commitment to Excellence. I've been using that for probably the last 4 years or so, and that helps me tremendously. So I can look at everything at a glance. So basically your numbers are there. It's going to tell me how many listings I have, buyers, pendings, closings. You're able to put every part of the transaction there. You can go in and put your 411 there as well. Everything is there like that. It's not that expensive either. It's actually included with my market center, so I don't pay for it. But I want to say if your market center did not pay for it, it may be $30 a month. But I love that system. It's simple. To me, I need things that are just very simple and easy.
Okay. And Marjorie, we're right on top of the hour. So one more question, and Joy runs a tight schedule. So one more question, and we are gonna thank her for her time.
Well, I bug Joy from time to time, and she's really nice about getting back to me. So one thing I thought would be helpful for everyone to hear is that Joy is really good about staying positive and being strict with her schedule and her time. So I thought I'd ask if she has a morning ritual before 9.
I really do not necessarily. I think that for me, and I kind of developed this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, really when my business changed. I adopted this positive mindset where I was not going to allow any negative thing to stay within my brain for more than like 2 seconds. So goes in, comes right back out, and then I move forward. So like, regardless of what's going on in my life, I always look at the bright side of it and I take accountability. So like, if something goes wrong, I'm like, okay, you know what? I should have known that. I should have paid attention to that. That's my fault. So let me move on and I won't do that again. So it's kind of like, you know what, just being proactive with everything that's going on and just making sure that, I stay upbeat and I'm positive about everything despite the circumstance. So like even with when Gary Keller, when he did a speech in the very beginning of the pandemic, and he said that this year is going to be your worst year or some of your worst years in real estate. So don't be upset if that happens. And, and I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. 2020 is going to be my best year in real estate, So, because I came into 2020 knowing that this was going to be my best year. And despite what anybody else said, and despite whatever was going on, it's still going to be my best year. So as long as you put it out there, and I guess my thing was I have to put everything into the atmosphere. Yeah. So I will tell someone, or I will put on Facebook, like 2020 is going to be great. 2020 is going to, like, so I'm doing affirmations but not necessarily like structured affirmations. I know like in Bold, we'll write down what our affirmations are. We'll say those 20 affirmations, but I'm not that structured to do that. So I might think of 5 different affirmations during the day and say it within my brain, not necessarily putting it out there, speaking it, but like I might say it in my brain over and over. And then to me, it's going to be that. So like whenever someone says whatever, I just turn that into an actual, like a present statement, like, yes, you will do this. And yes, that will be, or, you know, whatever. And so people always tell me like, Joy, you're like one of the most positive people that I know. And I just, you know, I just kind of forced myself to be that way. You know, and a lot of people don't even really realize I've gone through a lot this year. But despite all of that, I just still wake up every morning and just say, like, today's going to be a great day. You know, I'm going to be the best me that I possibly can be today, you know, and I'm going to make a difference and have an influence in someone's life. And I think that as long as we are living our lives to enhance other people's lives, then we've done what we should have done and that we should be doing. So, you know, that's just how I live my life. You know, I just live my life to motivate, encourage, and inspire others, you know, so that they know that they can have the life that they choose to have. Because like I said, it's not a secret. Everybody can have the same thing. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have the same amount of time. You know, it's just how we're using that time and, you know, what we choose to do with our lives, you know. So I think it's just really digging deep within ourselves and really deciding who we want to be and what we want our lives to be, and then making that happen. And I think that's the only difference.
Yeah, a life by design, guys, is what I'm hearing. So Joy, we would like to thank you. And if you don't mind, put in your information in the chat box so you can now be our referral partner out in New Orleans.
In Baton Rouge, but I do have some people in New Orleans as well. But I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I'm going to type that in right now for y'all so you'll have it.
Thank you very much, you guys. And I hope you've learned something that you can put into action today.
Now, text messaging is the best way to reach me. So I did put my number there. So 225-603-3559. And my email address is there as well. But if you want to get me faster, just text me. Phone calls, it might take me 2 weeks to get you on the phone, just to be honest.
Text her. That's it.
Because I do have a lot of agents calling, but I just really don't. I don't have a whole lot of time. I actually coached agents and I stopped coaching this year so that I can focus on the business. But if you text me, I'll be more than happy to text you back.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Joy. Go get 3 people on the contract today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. See y'all later. Thank you.
Bye. See you later.